This is a 2023 Lexus IS500 F Sport Premium, and I'm going to show you today why you may choose this over a Model 3. A lot of people get in their electric cars and they're great at first, but then over time, you want the naturally aspirated 472 horsepower V8. So I'm going to compare the two today, help you make a decision. Maybe you're going through a midlife crisis, you need to get back into a car that you can really peacock with, and this may do it for you. We're going to start right up front. Something that this has that the Tesla does not, and I don't even think the new Model 3 Highland, which is coming out, will have this either. And that's going to be this front-facing camera, which is really useful when parking this in tight spaces. This also has the F Sport front fascia here, so it's slightly more aggressive than a normal one. And you have huge brake cooling ducts here, and you also have a brake cooling duct here. Now, both of these are real. These go straight back to the brakes. This one's just interesting because you can slide a piece of paper through it, and it does open up. There are slits on the other side. I just find it interesting. It's this thin, and I'd be interested why the engineers did it that way. We then also have these triple beam LED headlights with daytime running lights that look incredible. Now, the color is called infrared. This is an upgraded color that costs only $595. If you were to get the triple coat red from Tesla, that costs $2,000. And to me, Tesla's colors are not only boring, they're just way overpriced. They should be $500, $600, $1,000 at most. But if you're paying $1,000 or $2,000 for a paint job, it should be really striking. And this infrared for only $595 looks incredible. Moving around to the side here, you'll notice these beautiful 19-inch wheels. These are the forged BBS wheels, so these are a little bit lighter than what comes on the car. The wheels that come on the F Sport are actually Anki wheels, and still a great looking wheel. I think you could go either way. This is about a $2,400 option. You also have the F Sport badge here, which I think looks incredible. And then the mirror caps, kind of interesting because we have a mix of chrome here, then black and red. There's a lot going on, whereas the rest of the car is all the black chrome. So I find it interesting that they put a slab of chrome here. I think it should have been just either black or red, but that's a minor detail that really doesn't matter. The other thing you'll notice is it's not that aggressive of a car. If you look at, and the Model 3 performance is kind of the same way. With the Model 3, the only thing that differentiates it is the red brake calipers and the bigger wheels. Other than that, it looks basically the same as a base model. This is similar. We do have the piano black deck lid spoiler across the back. You do have the stacked quad tip exhaust here with a fake diffuser looking thing, but it just sounds incredible and you want to hear the sound, so let's go cut to a sound clip. Now, more onto the trunk. The Model 3 kind of wins here because the new ones do have a power trunk. Some of the older ones do not. I think power trunk started in 2021. We have some nice carpeting here. It's Lexus carpeting. This is also an add-on. And in this little bag here, I thought it was an umbrella or maybe a sniper rifle, but it's actually just a net that you can bolt things down in the back with. Maybe you, I don't know, October's coming. You can strap some pumpkins down and do some pumpkin carving and maybe spend some time with your family and get off your phone. How about that? Maybe I should take my own advice. All right, so then to close the trunk here, we have this little latch, just pull down, boom, closes it up, very convenient. Into the back seat. How is the back seat space? Well, I was sitting in this front seat here, so I'll show you kind of what that looks like. Okay, so it's tight. Again, I'm 6 feet tall. It's not tight, but it's not like very spacious. So if we leave that in my comfortable seating position, getting into the back seat here, yeah, it's not bad, but it's just a little bit cramped. The good thing is we do have air conditioning back here. There's no controls. There's just two vents here where you're able to change the direction of the air. You have your window switch here, and then you have these seat back pockets, which is really nice. The front seats are also heated and cooled, and they are F Sport sport seats that, in my opinion, of all the cars that I've driven past previous years, they are the most comfortable sport seats I have ever been in. And the fact that they're cooled even adds to that. You could drive them on a daily basis and be comfortable, and you could take this to the track or canyon roads and you would still have the perfect seat. They did an excellent job with this. And if there's one thing that I will say about Lexus every time I've driven one, is it blows my expectations away. I think to myself, why aren't we talking about Lexus more? Maybe it's because their EV innovation is not there. They do have the RZ, which is electric. I'll be reviewing that soon. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you're able to see that. but the quality and then the way this engine sounds, it's just incredible. So now let's jump into the interior so I can show you some unique features there. All right, so onto the interior, start stop button right up here. We are gonna start the car so we don't pass away shooting this video. Cooled seats, you immediately feel them on your back. Again, the new Model 3s will have cooled seats, and that was really needed. We are gonna drive this in a little bit. We are gonna drive the Model 3s, that's all coming. So I'm just going through all the features here so we can kind of check it all out. This right here and this clock, I mean, the generation behind me, they don't even know what this is, okay? I barely do. So I don't know why you have that. I think this should just be a really cool futuristic looking vent, little outdated. This down here also slightly outdated, but not the worst thing to be outdated. We've tested it. It's nice to have a volume to be able to turn that knob real quick and adjust it. And then you have all of your standard AC features here. Again, you can kind of use this. This is interesting to just change the temperature. Then you have auto off, fan speed, direction of the air, air from inside, outside. If someone farts in here, you want to be bringing in new air. If there's no farting, you bring in, you can just recirculate. And then we can CD, this is, I mean, how old is this? No one even knows what CDs are anymore. And then this does have the Mark Levinson Premium sound system, 17 speakers. It's a great sound system, no complaints there at all. Shifter's in a nice position. Heated, cooled seats on both sides, heated steering wheel. And then we have 4 drive modes, Eco, normal, custom, and then sport. Okay, so that's 5 if we do math. That's 5 drive modes, sport and sport plus. One of the coolest things about this is the display here. Now what's cool about this display is you're looking at it and you're like, well, what's special about that? It's beautiful that it has just the tachometer in front of you, right? But when I click this button, there's a digital and physical movement here that lets you kind of go through different settings on the menu and get more usability out of the digital display. I just love the way that works. You can hear it moving back and forth. I just think that's a really cool feature. Lexus has done this, I think, since 2013 or 14, but it still amuses me, and I really like how that is. You'll also notice that the engine is warmed up, so the RPMs are showing all the way to the red line of 7,000 RPMs. Earlier when we were driving the car, you can see the orange, the yellowish orange, saying this is where it's going to shift. The engine's not ready to give you full peak performance, so that's just another safety feature to, you know, protect the engine. Now, more on this center console here. We have this trackpad. It says Lexus on it. This is really nicely done, and I find convenient. I'm able to move around the screen here, and also when I click on something, it actually gives me a haptic feedback. So it's really good, and I feel like you're able to use this effectively while driving the car, and that's good. It does have Apple CarPlay, but the problem is it's Apple CarPlay that's wired, and that's annoying to me. A lot of people in their Teslas miss Apple CarPlay and they miss Sirius XM, so it does have both. Wired Apple CarPlay needs to be phased out. It should all be wireless. That's what people want. You get in your car, you don't have to take your phone out of your pocket, it connects, and you're set to go. That's one complaint I have about this, but I do like the trackpad. I do like that you're able to kind of get around on here, but I like these types of screens. It's a clean look. They're not trying to be Tesla or copy anyone else. They're just putting up what they feel is right, and it's clean, but it's just, I don't know how useful it is. You're probably just going to end up relying heavily on your Apple CarPlay anyways, or your phone. So yeah, I don't know, the maps, navigation, you'd almost rather manufacturers take the money out of their technology investment and just have a screen here that wirelessly connects to Apple CarPlay. I feel like that most people would appreciate that, or Android Auto. I just feel like that would be the best way to go. Now that we've kind of covered the technology that's in this, let's take it for a drive. That's what you guys want to see. It's an incredible car. I love the V8. Let's go. Another unique luxury feature on this is the rear window sunscreen. So when I put the car in reverse, the rear window screen folds down for me, giving me more clarity to see exactly what's going on behind me. There's also a button here that lets me control it going up and down. So just another well thought out feature, gives you some more privacy and shade. And when you need to reverse, it gets out of the way. The other thing that the F Sport does really well is the adaptive variable suspension. It's really well done. I'm on a very curvy mountain road right now, and I'm not driving fast, but that Prius would smoke me on this road. But it's really comfortable, and then when you put it into its most aggressive Sport Plus setting, you feel the steering tighten up immediately. It's a lot heavier, and the car firms up. But even in its most aggressive setting, it's very compliant and street usable, because the truth is that most people are not going to take their F Sport to the track. Despite Lexus having a driving school, and I highly recommend any company that offers a driving school of some sort, you should do it because it's incredible to be in the car with the pro drivers, and they show you how to balance the car and how to be safer in situations, how to properly drift. They'll slide around. It's very cool. But my point is that you can use all of the settings in this car on the street. Whereas the Model 3 suspension is stiff and it's non-adaptable. Now the newer Model 3s, the performances, the long ranges, and the standard range do have a comfort suspension, Tesla calls it. So it is more comfortable, but still having an adaptable suspension like the Lexus has is the preferable application in a vehicle. Where the Model 3 wins though is just the immediate power that we have in this thing. I mean, it's just like it's a rocket. And where this used, right, have a cop, oh God. And this power can be used in a stealth manner. There's no loud exhaust or anything. No one's gonna know you're going 0 to 60 as fast as a McLaren. It's very stealth, and the energy that you're using is very efficient. So you're not gonna feel like you're, first of all, hurting the engine or anything like that, but also this car runs on about 2.5 gallons of gas, getting an EPA estimated 300 miles of range. So these are highly, highly efficient while having extreme performance. Now, the other thing to talk about is within the Model 3, so this is a 2020 model, so the infotainment system continues to have updates. And the other thing about that, there's been no real, like I own a 2020 Model Y, I don't notice any lag in the car. Like, you know how you update your cell phone in the past and then it starts to get slower and slower? I've not noticed that happen with the Model 3. So as an owner of a Tesla, in comparison to the Lexus has, there's no over-the-air updates. There's not going to be really cool things that happen over time. Like, for example, this car didn't come with blind spot detection of any sort. Now when I put a turn signal on, it uses the cameras on the outside of the car to show you where your blind spots are at, and you can move this to 3 different panels on your screen. So again, the software updates are very important and valuable over time. In Tesla, there is no one currently that builds a car that has software like Tesla does. I would almost call this a software-defined vehicle, if that's a thing, but that's what we're gonna call it today. So over time, you will find a ton of value in this, and in my opinion, you will be happier with your ownership because there are new things, and it shows that Tesla actually cares to keep their cars up and running and cares about their previous customers who have their cars. So I think that's very useful and valuable. The other thing is with autopilot, this comes with every Tesla. It's included in the cost. Just double tap and there we go, we're able to use it. Now, if I were to let this go, I would go straight through the red light and we'd be in an accident, a really bad one. But if you want to spend, I think $6,000, you can get enhanced autopilot, which adds lane change, which is good, but I don't think it adds stopping at red lights. You need full self-driving for it to stop in red lights and everything like that. But if a car is in front of you, it will obviously stop, and if you're jammed in traffic, I just find it very easy to use that and engage, whereas in the Lexus, using the cruise control, it's a little finicky. Again, as an owner, you will get used to that. It's not that big of a deal. A lot of car reviewers act like because they can't get it the first time driving a car that you're going to struggle with that the entire ownership of the vehicle. So enhanced autopilot for $6,000 comes with auto park, summon, and smart summon. Summon and smart summon are, I mean, useless, essentially. It's kind of fun to show someone, but for $6,000 and especially $12,000 now for full self-driving, for me, not worth it at all. Some people seem to think it is, and that's great. My personal opinion is your money could be spent a lot of other places. I would rather you take your money, go to the casino and try and double it, in all honesty, because that doesn't really add any value to the car once you sell it. My advice is to gamble. Not a financial advisor, not financial advice, but that's my advice to you. Let's look at the Model 3. I'll also say, and I said this before when reviewing this car, I remember the suspension being much stiffer than it actually is. It's actually fairly compliant. So my recommendation, this guy's hammered driving a Polestar. My recommendation is drive the car, experience it for yourself, and then make a decision. But the value on this right now is excellent. And I still think the value on the Lexus is really good when you compare it to a BMW M3 or something like that. The comfort and performance and sound, it's not the fastest car, but the sound and the comfort are second to none. Now, this, obviously the Model 3 can take it. Once you get up to speed though, this would probably outperform the Model 3. But man, the sound that this makes, the V8 naturally aspirated, it's intoxicating, it's incredible. And the shifting, like if you're in manual shift mode, so we'll go into that right now. We're in 5th, downshift to 4th. There's a slight delay where you click this and then it goes. It's probably a half second, but overall it's not bad. It kind of gives you this old school feel. You don't expect it to be like a dual clutch or even the ZF that's in a lot of BMW M's now. It's just really like an old school American muscle feel, and the sound that the engine makes is great, and that's what you can't do in an electric vehicle. Yes, the Tesla Model 3 is more efficient and it costs way less. This will cost you $5,200 more over a 5-year period than the average new car in terms of fuel economy. Fuel economy in this is 17 city, 25 highway, which highway, that's not bad. For all this power, naturally aspirated V8, that's not bad, but it's just a blast to drive. I just look forward to getting in this thing and that sound happening every time I get into the throttle. I don't think there's much sound that's faked and pumped in. It might be amplified, which I'm okay with, so that's not bad. But either way, it's really well done. Another differentiating factor that you can tell difference between an IS and an IS500 is the bulge in the hood here. So despite the IS500 F Sport costing about $10,000 more than a Model 3 Performance, it is a great luxury cruiser that brings you an experience that the Tesla simply cannot deliver. You don't have to mess with charging on road trips, but again, it will cost you more in fuel and maintenance over time. Here's the main difference between a Model 3 Performance and the Lexus IS500 F Sport. The Lexus is far more interesting to drive on a daily basis. The little delay in the V8 kicking in when you hit the gas pedal compared to the immediate torque of the Model 3, it's interesting. You're able to use the paddle shifters to shift. The sounds are intoxicating, whereas the Model 3, as far as a daily commuter, is a more comfortable and useful car because of the technology that's in it. It has better adaptive cruise control with autopilot, whereas this has the adaptive cruise control and is very comfortable to be in with a compliant suspension. But this is more, I think, for an enthusiast, whereas the Model 3 is more for someone that needs a vehicle that's going to act as a utility to get them from A to B and be very cheap to maintain over time. And like the Model 3 that I've shown in this video, you can get the 2020 Performance Model 3s for like 30 to 35 grand, depending on mileage and everything. So that's a huge value. That's literally half the price if you get it for the low 30s, this starting at 62. So there's a lot of value in that Model 3, but this is just so surprising that it has a naturally aspirated 5-liter V8 producing 472 horsepower out of the rear wheels. I mean, listen to this. I mean, and the brake feel, and the suspension's compliant. That's what it needs to be in a car like this. Like, do I want it to be sporty and all that stuff? Yes, to a point. They've done it really well. It's adaptive. Listen to these shifts, and listen to the shifts when I get it up high. Ready? Holy shit. I mean, it's so fun to drive. Yes, the Model 3 will beat it to 60 all day long, but you can't replace a naturally aspirated V8, especially packaged in a car like this. This is like the ultimate sleeper. You wouldn't expect there to be a huge V8. You'd think a 4-cylinder turbo's in this, or maybe a 6-cylinder, but the sound that this produces, and the sound is really up front. You get to enjoy it in the cabin. It's not as much out the back of the car we kind of found when we did revving with this. It's a lot of it's just coming straight out of the engine bay. So they've done an excellent job. But if you want to see what a Lexus hybrid is like and compare that to a Tesla Model Y, my Tesla Model Y, you can click this video right here. I think that'll be very helpful you in making your buying decision, or if you just want to watch another video of mine, hey, we appreciate it, you know?